Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thanks very much for checking me out today. Today I'm going to answer the questions that you guys would have asked on my Q&A video from a couple of days ago. And I got some really good questions on that, so I really appreciate you guys taking the time to have a conversation, ask me some questions, and get to know me a little bit better. So do appreciate it. I'm just going to get started so this isn't too long, and I'm just going to start at the top of the comments. So the first question, well, this is a way to kick things off. The first question is from Team Broccoli. Hi Jenny. And her question is, do you poop with the door open? Hee hee. Well, it's quite an interesting question. I guess it depends on where I am and how many people are around. No, generally I do not poop with the door open, but I did ask you guys to ask me random questions, and well, Jenny, you've obviously done that. So now that we got that out of the way, I do close the door, although I will say that Marley, one of the cats that you guys have seen probably 100 times in my videos, Marley needs to follow me to the bathroom. She is there always, and if I don't let her in, then I do have to open the door for her so that she can be in there with me, because otherwise it's just a panic, absolute panic. So, yeah, good question. And Colby Spencer asks, hey Colby, asks, how do I react to people when they make a comment about like respecting their choice or whatever, like so non-vegans. He says that I'm a mellow guy, and you know, he sometimes feels like he just wants to get infuriated and pop off. So how do I do that? Again, this is kind of a situational thing. I definitely think that it's easy to get really, really angry, and I've worked on my patience significantly over the past couple of years, and I think it's improved. I think there's a time for righteous anger and, you know, like to just call people out, but most of my daily interactions are either in the workplace or someplace that just probably wouldn't make sense for me to freak out. So it's a little bit different if it's in like the comments section on one of my own videos or something, but I definitely try to, like, you know, remain calm, and I just try to be educational. Like, it's funny, people want to be accepted and people want to be, you know, felt as if they're being taken seriously or something. So if someone says something stupid to me, or someone says something just completely infuriating, I just kind of give them a look as if to say, wow, you know, like wow, you know, and people just kind of like feel almost ashamed of that when they're not accepted. So if you give them just kind of a disapproving look and be like, you know, here's a situation, like, well, I just can't believe you would say that. Yeah, and just kind of shake your head and move along. That affects people because it bruises their ego, and it gets them thinking like, oh geez, how could I have like acted differently, or maybe that vegan's right or something, you know. I always say that we should try to avoid living according to our ego, but at the same time we should keep in mind that appealing to other people's ego or against it is actually a really good tactical, really good tactic when trying to present an idea. So you can use that as a tool as well. So good question, Colby. Thanks for asking that. The Raw Access. Hey Al, how's it going, man? He asks, what are your views on Durianrider? Well, I know he's obviously one of the most controversial people in this whole vegan YouTube experience, and I wouldn't be vegan today if it wasn't for Durianrider and Freely. I can honestly say that. I mean, maybe by now I would have, but although I don't agree with everything they have to say, it was Harley's just kind of like, he appealed to the cynical side of me. He appealed to that, well, he appealed to my ego, really, and was just like, hey, you know, no excuses. Stop playing the victim. Like, he motivated me to just not be pathetic, essentially, and to just accept the facts and just be honest with myself and do what needed to be done. So for that, I have absolute respect for him, because I think that overall that's his core message, his core persona, is just to be like, hey, you know, like, wake up. It is 2015, 2016. He'll be doing it next year, so 2017. You don't need to do this shit. Stop being a victim and put things into perspective. So for that, I have absolute respect for him. Leafy Vegan asks, if you were given the means to live any place you wanted, where in the world would you choose to live? That's a really good question. I would live somewhere a lot warmer than Canada, even though it's nice here in the summertime. I really don't like the cold winters. I would choose to live somewhere probably a little more tropical where I could, just go out and pick fruit off the tree. Forage maybe somewhere a little bit closer to a beach would be nice. I think it'd be really cool to live in a place like maybe Costa Rica, maybe even in a place like Australia, to be honest, even though it's not as tropical necessarily. I just think it'd be fun to be somewhere a little warmer so that I'd actually feel motivated to be outside and just, continue being active all year round and probably get a lot more done. I kind of feel like I shut down in the hibernation mode a little bit every year in Canada, so. And a next question that Leafy Vegan asks is, if I was given the means to open an animal sanctuary, would I be hands-on or would I let others run it for me? That's another really good question. And I actually thought about this one a little bit before I started filming, and it's tough because I would want to be there and feel the connection with the animals, but at the same time, if I had the means to have an animal sanctuary, it means that I'm probably would have the time and the resources to also do some traveling and continue to be, on the road and learning about different things. And I would want to still be out there in the public eye. I would want to still be, I would want to do speeches. I would want to travel the world and be out there talking to people about veganism and spreading the message. So I think that it would be harder to do that if I was running an animal sanctuary myself, although I'm sure I would spend some time there, definitely. So, Be Healthy, Be Happy. Hi, Katie. She asks, what do I like to do for fun? And aside from the obvious things like, just being vegan and making YouTube videos and, spamming the internet with the vegan message, I really enjoy just going for walks. I think it's just really calming, very peaceful. Just to go for a walk, maybe have some music playing, and just connect with nature. And just, appreciating the little things that you see, seeing small little animals or whatever. I really enjoy that. I also, speaking of music, really, really love music. I'm always listening to music. And I like to sing as well, play guitar. I'm not necessarily very good at either one, but I really, really enjoy it. So definitely that. And I used to play a lot of sports, not so much in recent years, just because a lot of the friends that I used to hang out with and play sports a lot, we're not necessarily living close to one another, or maybe not even necessarily as good friends as we used to be, but playing sports is definitely fun as well. Alright, so Diane in the Shire, hi Diane. She asks, if you could invite 4 people to dinner from any period of history, past or present, who would you invite? Wow. That's a crazy question, but a really, really good one. Very thoughtful. I would definitely want to have at least one of my, musical heroes there, just so I could kind of cover that ground as well. So, I don't know, probably, hard to say. Maybe Lane Staley from Alice in Chains, just because I think that it would be great just to have a conversation with him. I would like to have probably one of the great thinkers, maybe Plato, maybe Socrates. I think somebody like Da Vinci would be really great to have a conversation with. And maybe Tesla, just because the man was obviously a genius. So many people, but you know what? There's 4. I could just do that one all day. So, all right. And Lego asks, Have you ever been to Vancouver or Quebec City? Curious about how the vegan life differs in those Canadian cities from your personal Canadian perspective. Well, I have never been to Vancouver because I've never been on the West Coast, never been to BC. I have been to Quebec City before, but I was not a vegan at the time. I was probably only about 14, 15, and actually, really sad story. When I went on a trip to Quebec, would have been in grade 9 with school, I spent a lot of money on just, random stuff, a couple CDs, bought like a team jersey, and I pretty much lived off McDonald's Big Macs for a week. So yeah, I don't know about the vegan food in Quebec City. It's a beautiful city though, and Montreal is beautiful as well, but I really like the old city inside the gates in Quebec. It's beautiful, but I can't speak for the vegan perspective. I have no idea. Earthling Carl. Oh yes, Earthling Carl has one of the hardest questions for me to answer. Asks what my thoughts are on guide dogs for the blind in terms of veganism. The dogs are usually bred for the purpose of helping these people and live a life of servitude, but are also treated well. Would it be right to continue the practice in a full vegan world? In a full vegan world, I don't think that it would be necessarily right to... I don't even know how I feel about it, honestly. I think that it is sad that we have... I think that it's sad that we have even domesticated animals to the point where this is an option and something that we need to think about. I know that with dogs and cats there can be a really, really tight bond, and obviously those animals are being treated really well in many cases, but it's tricky. I think ideally we wouldn't be living in a society where a person who was blind needed to be alone and needed to have a guide dog. Ideally we would be living in a society where we didn't have to go to work, and we would all be there to support one another, and maybe instead of a guide dog it's a a friend, like a human friend that is there to do those things. And maybe I don't know, like I'm not blind, so maybe there's times where you don't want to be around a human, and it would be nice just to be able to have that feeling of dependence or independence. Sorry, it's tricky without being a blind person and knowing the situation fully. I can't really 100% honestly answer that, but it's tough. Ideally, we would not be dependent on animals and use them in any way. That's the bottom line. So Banana Wisdom, hey Jeannie, she asks, what do I do for a living? I am a sales coordinator and a little bit of project coordination as well for a global manufacturing company. She also asks, how is Jamie doing and what is my favorite meal? Jamie's doing really well. Anybody who doesn't know who Jamie is, maybe you're new to my channel, she is my long-term girlfriend. We have a vlog channel together, Our Conscious Life, where we do taste tests and other things. And then she has her own channel as well called My Conscious Life. So you see the pattern here? We're really original. Yeah, she's doing really well. She's back to work. Her job is seasonal, so she's back to work and just kind of getting excited for spring and summer like I am. So yeah. And favorite meal, that is impossible for me to answer, although I love Mexican food. I love, love, love Mexican food. So I could eat Mexican food every day. Alright, so racybaby asks how I feel the vegan community on YouTube could be changed to make it more accessible. I think that the main thing we can do to improve the vegan community on YouTube is to stop fucking bashing one another. How about that? Yeah, it's tough sometimes. There's a lot of drama, there's a lot of controversy. Every now and then I'll watch those videos because they're, kind of fun to watch. It's entertainment, but at the same time I think that anybody who is promoting a message that is helping the animals on the planet. Even if we don't agree completely, we can for the most part leave them alone, unless we see something that really is just harmful. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really know how to answer that other than just to, subscribe to what you enjoy and share it around. Use other social media to share that around. So, my uploaded life. Hey guys, Jonah Shana. They ask, when did you decide to become vegan, and what kind of advice would you give to someone who would like to become vegan but hasn't yet? Well, two really good questions. I do have some other videos about like how I became vegan, but in a nutshell, Jamie was already vegan, I had already been vegetarian, realized the environmental aspects, realized obviously the ethical standpoint of not wanting to harm animals. And as soon as I really took the time to fully understand what veganism really was and just living a compassionate lifestyle, that just really resonated with me, and I had to do it. There was no way I could go back. And as far as advice I would give, I would advise anybody to watch Cowspiracy on Netflix, watch Forks Over Knives on Netflix, and watch Earthlings on YouTube, and to remember that this is bigger than you. This is bigger than you or I or any other individual or group of people. This is literally planet changing. This is a life-changing thing. And think about the real victims, the animals, and it makes it very, very easy to continue on. Alright, so Natural Nicktrition. Hey Nick, what's up? He says, congrats bro, what are some of your favorite movies? This is really, really tough for me because I like a lot of movies. But to keep it short, I would say anything Tim Burton, and a couple really good ones over the year, like any Tarantino movie pretty much, like Pulp Fiction. Yeah, it's really, really tough. But Tim Burton, Quentin Tarantino, stuff that like makes you think or feel something different than you would normally think or feel. Really, I think that's it. Pan's Labyrinth, that's a really cool one. Check that out. Mr. and Miss Behave, haha, that's clever. I see what you did there. They say, do you have a keyboard at all? And if so, what song would you like to learn? This was because they checked out my random piano video. I do not have a keyboard or a piano or anything, but I think it would be something I'd like to get into. I love music, so what song would I like to learn? I would just like to learn a bunch of classical stuff. I absolutely love Beethoven, Tchaikovsky, Bach, Mozart, so many. There's just so many, and I know that those are like the four most like cliche ones to say, but I really, really love classical music, so some Beethoven for sure, Moonlight Sonata for Elise. Sapphire Loves PJ asks, what do you think of raw vegan? I have no problems with raw vegan at all, and a lot of days I will be like really high raw. I love fruit and vegetables, like just eating raw foods. Some days I'll just have massive, massive amounts of fruit. So I have no problem with it at all. For me, from a health standpoint, like I definitely feel like I feel better if I'm eating mostly raw or high raw foods, but it's not something I think about too much because I'm not really into it for, other than animal and environmental reasons. Like I haven't really thought about like the physical side of it too much, but yeah, raw veganism obviously is something that I have no problem with at all, and occasionally do just in little spurts for no reason or without really thinking about it. So, Vegan Base asks, what's your favorite TV show if you watch one? That's tough. I've had a few really, I don't watch much TV, like we haven't had cable in years. But I really enjoyed Breaking Bad, and then now Better Call Saul, the spinoff. I enjoyed watching Lost. Prison Break was pretty fun. But I don't know, I don't really watch a lot of TV. Like I definitely don't watch any right now other than just maybe throwing an episode of like American Dad or something on while I'm watching or while reading dinner or something. So yeah. Savoni asks a few questions, and they're actually really cool. It made me think. If I found someone permanently shrunk down to the size of a bug, what would you do with them? I would see if I could communicate with them to see like what's going on. Would I keep them against their will or let them go outside to fend for themselves? If I could communicate with them and they wanted my protection, I would help them. Otherwise, I would just leave them be. What would they see you as, and vice versa? I'm not sure. They would probably see me as a potential threat, but I would see them as somebody who deserves life just as anybody else. I try to avoid harming insects at all costs. So if I saw a little human person, I would try to avoid harm to them as well. What if the person you found was someone you disliked? I don't know. Depends on how much I dislike them. I'd probably still leave them alone though, because it would be way too easy just to crush them. What would you say to them? Again, I'd just ask them like, what's up? What if they tried to run away or hurt me? I doubt they could hurt me if they were shrunk down to the size of a bug, but if they tried to run away, I would let them. I would try to communicate with them that I was friendly, and what would I do if I accidentally stepped on them? I'd feel horrible. Like I say, I'd try to avoid harming anything. Like, I go through some really, really painstaking measures to try to get bugs outside. Like, it is so ridiculous. It will take me a half an hour sometimes to catch something so I can put it outside. And yeah, it's a great practice in patience, let's put it that way. So yeah, that was all of the questions that you guys asked me on that video. There's definitely some really good ones, so thank you very much for that. Definitely made me think. And I just want to say this, that I'm not doing this whole YouTube thing. This kind of was brought up when I made this Q&A thing, my 500 subs, when I pointed out that I was having some small success. Someone, I think, maybe took that as me having an ego about it, or like that I somehow think I'm a big shot because I have 500 subs on YouTube. Obviously I don't at all. I'm not doing this for me. I'm not doing this like for my ego or for the glamour of making a couple dollars a month off of AdSense. Like, that's not what this is about. Clearly I would love to do really, really well and get very, very popular on YouTube so that I can continue to spread the vegan message and help save the animals and the planet. If it turned out that I was making crazy amounts of money on YouTube like some people do, then that's great. I obviously wouldn't turn it down, but I wouldn't feel bad about it either, because it would enable me to do more for the animals and do more. Like, I would be able to donate, I would be able to travel, I would be able to do things to help make things better. So yeah, I just want to thank everybody who has been there with me, either from the beginning or, just found my channel, or you're watching this and you found my channel after this video went up. I really appreciate your support, and I just hope that this channel continues to grow. I think we need to support one another, and it is for the animals and for the planet. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed my answers. If you have any comments on the answers I provided, leave them down below, or any other questions, and I'll just answer them in the comments section. But yeah, thanks again, and we'll see you next time, guys. Bye.